The last 2 weeks have been pretty packed with information. We've had multiple new MMO announcements. We've actually had several different MMOs fully launch. We've had new classes introduced. We've had new characters. So much in the way of additional content being introduced into the genre that I am actually kind of baffled. We also have new beta announcements, and you guys know, with new alphas, with new betas, comes the opportunity for each and every one of you to potentially participate and experience content that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Now, if any of this sounds like something that you might be interested in, scroll down, hit that subscribe button. Not only will it keep you up to date with everything related to all of the latest MMO news, including announcements, but our giveaways for games, for alpha keys, for beta keys are only for our subscribers. Also, did you guys know that we actually have a mobile channel as well called MMO by Mobile? Yeah, we literally cover the latest mobile MMO news, the latest mobile RPG news, and pretty much everything pertaining to Androids and iOS devices. So go and check that out if it's of interest to you. I literally post there every single week. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this week's weekly bite of MMORPG news. Let's start this off today with news on Black Desert Online. Yeah, the new Corsair class just released recently, and while I have had a lot of fun taking her for a ride thus far, I do want to note that more important than the new class, more important than the new content introduced and on the horizon, was the reveal that the population in BDO is up over 300%. Yeah, according to Pearl Abyss, Black Desert Online has seen an over 300% increase in new and returning daily players, thanks to new content updates, the season servers, and sales promotions. The game is more alive right now than it has been in a very long time. So, if you have been waiting to get into the game and to try it out, this might be the ideal time to. Next, let's talk about Swords of Legends Online. Gameforge just rolled the game out a week ago, and in the small time frame that it's been available, they have reportedly sold over 200,000 copies. This equates to well over $10 million USD minimum if even a fraction of the player base bought a package larger than the base edition. Thus far, the European launch of the game went over very smoothly, but the North American launch was an absolute disaster with mass congestion, repeated lag, disconnects, and much worse. Gameforge confirmed this was due to them using Microsoft servers, which fans of PSO2 New Genesis witnessed when New Genesis launched using Microsoft servers as well. The lesson learned today: do not use Microsoft servers. Currently, there is a single server for North American players, with Gameforge claiming that this is all that will be needed for the entire North American region. In a trailer that seems to have been recorded on a camcorder at your local movie theater, NeoWiz released a whole brand new trailer detailing their latest video game, Bless Unleashed, in an attempt to hype up the potential player base. And after watching it and reading the comments around the internet, it looks like players are, underwhelmed would be a very nice, very kind way of phrasing it. Now that both PSO2 New Genesis and Swords of Legends Online have launched, we have New World, we have Core Punk, Lost Ark, and Elyon left to wait for. Speaking of Elyon, Kakao revealed that they will be opening the second closed beta registration for the MMO between July 26th and August 11th, with the closed beta going live later that month. The closed beta is going to provide players a build of the game much closer to the live Korean version, with the addition of the new Slayer class, a surplus of balance adjustments, different dungeons, and easier leveling experience and new events. We were told that we would have more closed beta keys to give away for this test phase, so keep an eye out for those. KOG Games have revealed that they are re-releasing Grand Chase, but this time it's going to be in the form of Grand Chase Classic. After seeing the success of WoW Classic, after seeing the success of Lineage Classic, heck, even Ion recently tried to get in on this with Ion Classic, KOG have decided, you know what, it is time to milk our game too. Beta testing for Grand Chase Classic will take place shortly, with participants already being confirmed from those of us that pre-registered for the test phase. I honestly have no idea outside of money, I guess, as to why they're doing this. Well, money and greed. This is KOG after all. Definitely not at all because players wanted this though, because they've wanted this for literally what, like half a decade now, a decade? After waiting all year, players have finally been given the announcement that they've been waiting for. Genshin Impact 2.0, aka the Immovable God and the Eternal Euthymia, or the patch that finally brings new Inazuma region is being released. Yeah, as of July 21st, players will be capable of visiting Inazuma, along with obtaining the new characters that come along with the update. There are a ton of new features, activities, and even more scheduled for the future. So, if you've been waiting for this update, as I know a lot of you have been, then you've only got a few more days to go. Yes, it finally launched. This is one of the very, very few crowdfunded MMORPGs to have pretty much ever launched. And the player reception was pretty bad. Not only are the servers very low in terms of population, but the general consensus is that the game just isn't very good. There are plenty of people online even going as far as to call this a scam. Mrs. Sticks and I both bought the game to try it out, and unfortunately we just couldn't get into the game at all in the entire first day due to server issues. But you know what? MMO launches always have these problems, so this is nothing new, really. Judging a game off of their launch is just asinine. Judging a game off of the kind of game that it ultimately ends up being, what it actually provides its players, and how its staff handle it though, is another story altogether. I honestly hope to get into it and try it out as soon as I can to make my own thoughts on it. Final Fantasy XIV has been in the news repeatedly recently. Not only did it dethrone World of Warcraft as the most played MMORPG of 2021 in recent months, regardless of whether that's permanent or just temporary, but Square Enix went ahead and published their benchmark for players to go ahead and download, which players absolutely lost their minds over. But even more important than that is the fact that Final Fantasy XIV is so popular right now, Square had to temporarily disable purchases of their game via their store, as they had completely sold out of digital copies. They also removed the option of creating new characters on servers temporarily due to the enormous influx of new players bogging down their servers, and I'm sure you noticed the lag recently. And with all the WoW content creators converting, this is only going to get better or worse, depending on how you look at this revelation. Finally, in light of this surge of popularity, Square is holding a 2-week free logging campaign for players that have owned the game at any point and haven't played recently. This will allow you to log in and play the game without restriction for an entire 14-day period. Last week, Amazon released a blog post where they went on to outline the available classes at launch. These included the warrior, the martial artist, the mage, the gunner, and the assassin. And while they've changed the names of many of the advanced classes, players noted that there were some missing. Amazon and Smilegate have both stated that they are aware that other regions have additional classes, and in time, these will be released into the Western version of Lost Ark as well. They then go on to claim that due to quote-unquote balancing issues, the decision was made to not include them at launch, rather to postpone them and then add them in at an undisclosed time after launch. Project D is a cross-platform MMO being built with Unreal Engine 4. It'll feature crossplay between PC and mobile titles and is set in a large, beautiful open world. Or at least that's what we can see given the single image that they have supplied us with. There's also a Valkyrie, so I guess that kind of alludes to the style of game that this is ultimately going to be. Then we have Project M, which is going to be an online narrative-driven action RPG completely for PC. Yeah, there is no mobile, there is no cross-platform functionality at all. This is built exclusively for PC players and will utilize Unreal Engine 4 to power a large, dark fantasy world. Again, we were given just a single image to accompany the reveal, and let me tell you, South Korea really knows how to design their characters. On the one hand, she looks like she's all marked up with magical symbols, which leads me to believe that she's some type of witch, and the fact that she looks much more Caucasian as opposed to the typical Asian aesthetic that we get out of Korean or Chinese games. Ashes of Creation is finally entering Alpha 1 testing. And after their recent pre-alpha test phase, the world got to see exactly what type of game this was. Some people were ecstatic and absolutely captivated with what they saw. Others were very disappointed, and you know what, both opinions are 100% valid and warranted. In anticipation of Alpha 1, the Ashes team have released a brand new teaser via their YouTube channel showing off the game, along with an FAQ on how to get in. There's the normal $500 purchase for those of you with crazy amounts of money to burn on a game, giveaways that you can participate in, content creators that are either partnered with Ashes or given rights to play, or finally, if you're a Kickstarter backer. Honestly, the team have done pretty admirably thus far, and the game has come a long ways. It's still got years to go before it's finished, but it's always promising seeing a game make progress. Ever since the official developer for SoulWorker obtained rights to publish the MMO globally, players have been flocking to the game. Not only do they handle it significantly better than Gameforge did, but they have pushed out so much more content over the last few months than Gameforge did in years. Case in point, another new character, a brand new leveling event, new boosts, new items, and so much more. The character in question is called Lee Navi, and my god, do the developers know their audience. I urge you guys to look for my dedicated video on this in like the next 48 hours. If you recall, at the end of last month, the official Blue Protocol Twitter account released a 30-second snippet of the opening animation for the upcoming MMO, along with the theme song that will accompany it and a small selection of overhauled gameplay. The Blue Protocol community was very excited to both see and hear that info, although we were disappointed that it was so short. It was confirmed recently that the official version is going to be significantly longer, and for those of you that are interested in hearing the opening in its entirety, you can navigate on over to the official Arkansas YouTube channel. When specifically we're going to receive access to the full version of the trailer, with everything overhauled, remains to be seen, but I would not expect it to really be all that far off. Meeple, the team behind the upcoming Project BBQ and Dungeon and Fighter Overkill MMOs, are currently in the process of hiring. They're looking specifically for people that have experience with action online game development. While that isn't really much in terms of a reveal, it's refreshing to learn that they're in the process of hiring new staff to continue the development of the game. Well, not just one single game. They have 4 games that are being developed based on the Dungeon Fighter IP right now. There's Project BBQ, which is a 3D anime MMORPG. There's Dungeon and Fighter Overkill, a side-scrolling online action RPG like Dungeon Fighter Online. Dungeon Fighter Duel, a traditional fighting game, and finally Dungeon Fighter Mobile, which, you know, is a mobile game. Finally, Tower Fantasy has just entered limited testing. They've allowed up to 30,000 players to participate and have imposed no IP restrictions on participants whatsoever. This has allowed many players to get into the MMO and test it out. Again, this is just a test phase, so issues are expected to arise, and quite a few definitely have, with much of the player base experiencing significant lag over the course of the test period. The developers have apologized for this and are doing what they can to remedy the situation. I just did a video on the character customization for Tower of Fantasy, and my god, it is actually so damn good. And that is it. That is everything that has been brought to my attention over the course of the last 2 weeks. Now, if you think that there is anything I missed, go ahead and leave a comment with the link. Go ahead and message me on any form of social media you can find me on. Make sure to include a link to the article, and if applicable, I will either go ahead and cover it in a dedicated video, or I will include it in the next weekly bite of MMORPG news.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh.